everyone, and welcome to my updated BreyerFest surprise horse speculation video for 2021. If you have not watched my original BreyerFest surprise horse speculation video I did a few months back, I would recommend checking that one out first before watching this one, because in that one I go over all the different criteria I use for trying to figure out the surprise model, as well as go over what colors I think the surprise model might be. In this video, I am only going to be giving an updated version of my top guesses for the surprise horse mold. We'll jump right into it by first looking at my list of top guesses from the last video. My honorable mentions were the Cleveland Bay, Lipizzaner Mare, Standing Thoroughbred, and Goffert. My top 10 list was 10 Totalis, 9 Warmblood Stallion or Idicus, number 8 Connemara Mare, number 7 Desatado, number 6, Arabian Mare, number 5, Solano, number 4, Shagia Arabian, number 3, Dundee, number 2, Bluegrass Bandit, and number 1, Bobby Joe. Now let's talk about the new Breyer releases that affect this list. First is the release of the True Blue online Collector Club event models that came out in May. One of the models released was Victoria on the Connemara Mare mold. This eliminates Croy or the Connemara Mare off my list of guesses. Also in May was the third release in the Birds of a Feather web special series, Crane. Crane is on the Standing Thoroughbred or Emerson mold. This mold was only an honorable mention before, but he still does get eliminated because of this release. Next was when Breyer and Breyer dealers announced the regular run mid-year releases. KB Omega Faham, or however you say that, I don't know, is on the Shagia Arabian mold, which had the number 4 spot on my list, but that mold now has to be eliminated. The fourth release in the Birds of a Feather web special series was Meadowlark. She's on the Bluegrass Bandit mold, which was actually on my number 2 guess for the surprise horse. And I really thought she had a good chance of being it this year, but with this release, it obviously means that she is not going to be the surprise. Now that is it for the releases that have come out that I believe strongly eliminate those molds. However, there are some other models that Breyer has revealed that are going to play a bit of a part in my new list of guesses, and that is the live auction models that have been revealed. Now, I am hesitant to eliminate a mold that is in the live auction, just because these models are tests and one of a kind. They technically shouldn't have that much effect on what the BreyerFest surprise model is, but there has been a consistent pattern of the live auction models for a certain BreyerFest of none of them having that same mold as the surprise horse model, so I am going to still take that into account. There's actually only one model in the live auction that really affects this list. However, I did have some mold possibilities I listed before that were also affected by these live auction models. I'm not really going to go over those ones though. The only mold that really had an effect here was Goffert from my honorable mentions list. He is a decorator model in the BreyerFest live auction. If it wasn't for these live auction models, I actually would have probably put Goffert up higher onto my top 10 list of possibilities because of the other mold eliminations, leaving those empty spots in the list. But since Goffert is in the live auction, he is going to remain very low for possible molds. I still kind of have a feeling that he could maybe still be the surprise horse. And the reason I am thinking this is because what if this model is actually a test color for one of the decorator variations of the surprise model? And I only bring this up because this kind of happened in 2018. Breyer did do a test decorator model for the Dark Horse Surprise, and they put that into the silent auction. So I wondered if maybe the same thing is happening here, but at the same time, I don't know if it's super likely, because I don't think Breyer revealed that Dark Horse test piece before they revealed the rest of the Dark Horse models, so I kind of don't see that they would do the same here. I don't think they would put a test model for the surprise horse in one of the auctions like this. So while it is kind of a fun theory of what if this Goffert is like the same situation as in 2018, I do still think it is very unlikely. Now, taking the recent Breyer releases and live auction models into account, as well as something else which I will talk about a little bit further on down this list, here is my updated list of guesses for the 2021 7 Arts Surprise model. Here are my honorable mentions. Well, I was going to have a few models for honorable mentions, but then I remembered some things that made those molds less likely to be the surprise model, so I ended up having just one model for honorable mentions, and that is Goffert for the reasons I already talked about. Now on to my top 10. Number 10, Cleveland Bay. He was formerly an honorable mention, and I went ahead and bumped him up to the number 10 spot on this list. Number 9, Lipizzaner Mare. She was also an honorable mention before, but she got promoted to the number 9 spot here on the top 10 list. For number 8, I have Totalis. He was the number 10 spot before, but he got moved further up this list because of the other molds that got eliminated. Number 7 is Warm Blood Stallion, or Idicus. Again, just kind of moved him up the list. Number 6, Salinero. This model was actually a bit higher on my list before, but I put some other molds ahead of him purely because he is a warm blood, and Sprite Source was a warm blood last year. So I'm thinking this year it won't be a warm blood. So I went ahead and moved him down further. He is, however, the warm blood I think has the highest chance of being the surprise source, just because of the fact he was in the live auction last year. Now into the top 5, which I think all have a pretty good possibility of being the surprise this year. Number 5 is Desatado. He got moved up a couple spots, and while this model doesn't quite line up with the production patterns for the surprise source model, he is a stock or feral horse breed, and I think that would be good for the theme this year. Number 4, the Arabian Mare. She got moved up 2 spots from the list before, and funny enough, I'm actually kind of hoping it's not this mold though. I do think it's a pretty high possibility that she could be used. And while I used to love this mold, I just haven't really been caring for it too much lately. However, if they do end up using the Oasis head and neck option on this mold, I probably wouldn't mind having some surprise horse models on it because I do like that particular variation quite a bit. Number 3, Dundee. He was actually number 3 on my list last time, and so he's staying there. He's holding that number 3 spot. Number 2, Wyatt, or the Gaming Stock Horse. Wyatt is replacing Bluegrass Bandit's spot on this list. And if you're thinking, wait a minute, I don't remember you mentioning Wyatt earlier in this video or in the last surprise source video, well, that's because I accidentally forgot to put him in the first video. He's actually been a mold possibility this entire time, but I think what happened was this. I reuse a lot of my same files for the BreyerFest surprise source speculation video, and when I was messing with my picture files that have all the little X's and highlights on them for the different molds, I think one of the little gray X's accidentally ended up on Wyatt's mold, and I just didn't think twice to check to see if that X was supposed to be there or not. I just kind of assumed that I had eliminated him for some reason, or just completely glossed over him. But he's actually been a possibility this whole time, and I'm very sorry I made that mistake in the first video. So since I didn't talk about him before, I'll talk a little bit about him now, and about why I think he is such a high possibility. As I talked about in the first surprise horse video, a stock horse does feel very likely due to the wording of pulling out all the stops, the fact there isn't that many stock horses this year. Actually, besides the live auction models, I don't think there are actually any stock horses this year, aside from the Saturday raffle model that was revealed. And I don't think the model is going to be a warm blood because it was a warm blood last year. So again, a stock horse just feels very possible. The Wyatt or Gaming Stock Horse mold is obviously a stock horse, so he really fits all that criteria. He is currently being made as a regular run for the model Stingray, which came out in 2020. Aside from the Stingray release, he hasn't been used in the last 2 years, and the last time he was a BreyerFest model, aside from live auction models, was back in 2016. All of this means that he does fit that production pattern for the surprise horse. Now I know some people think that because he has a base that maybe he'd be less likely, but I really don't think the bases affect the surprise models too much. The Smarty Jones mold in 2018 did have a base, so I really don't think whether or not a model has a base affects the surprise horse model at all. There you have it. Wyatt went from not even being in these videos to almost being my top guess, and I did kind of go back and forth on if he should be my top guess, but decided to just have him in the number 2 spot. Now for my number 1 spot, Bobby Joe. Probably not too much of a surprise since she was my top guess from before, and since nothing has come up to eliminate her, I decided to keep her as my top guess. Now I think that's about it for me to talk about the surprise horse model possible molds. I will mention that Breyer is putting a full set of the surprise models in the online live auction, but they didn't give any more hints as to what they are or even how many are in the set. I believe last year they did say that there were 4 models in the set, but this year they didn't give any numbers, any hints, nothing, which I'm personally glad about in a way. As much as I want to know what the surprise model is, I really don't want any more hints until it is actually revealed. Now, if you are wondering when might be the earliest that we find out what it is, last year we found out 3 days after BreyerFest. That Wednesday after BreyerFest was when several people got their models in the mail and posted pictures of them. So we can guess that for this year it'll be around the same time that we'll find out. It could be a little bit sooner, it could be a little bit later, but my guess is that probably sometime within that first week after BreyerFest, around the 21st of July, we'll find out what the surprise horse model is. Last year, Breyer didn't officially announce the surprise model and its quantities until almost 3 weeks after BreyerFest. So again, we can probably base this year off of that and guess that it will probably be at least 2 to 2.5 weeks until they make that announcement. I imagine Breyer does wait that long to give the official reveal and quantities and all that so that they can give more people a chance to get their models and be surprised when they open them. If you do not want to be spoiled about the surprise model and want to find out what it is on your own when you open up your own 7 Arts surprise model, then you are probably going to want to stay off social media after BreyerFest. Some people are very nice and courteous and try to put spoilers before the images or talking about what the surprise horse model is. I know for myself, I really try not to spoil it either. Like even last year when I did my video thumbnail, I didn't actually show what it was on the thumbnail because I knew a lot of people wanted to be surprised about it. But unfortunately, there are a lot of people that post the surprise horse reveal without even thinking about adding a spoiler warning. I mention this as a heads up for any of those that do want to be surprised when you open your surprise model. You have to stay away from Model Horse social media if you want to be totally, completely surprised. However, if you want to find out what the surprise model is as soon as possible, then just keep your eye on social media and you'll probably find out about it pretty quickly. When photos of the surprise model do start coming out, I will do a video on it and talk about all the different colors it comes in and discuss how close it was or not close it was to my own guesses. I am planning or hoping on getting several surprise horse models myself, so I will be doing an unboxing video on those whenever I get them. However, I might not get them until a couple weeks after BreyerFest, just depends on how the shipping goes. Let me know in the comments what you think the surprise horse model is, and if your guess has changed at all in the past few months, or has your top guess stayed the same? Let me know what you think. That's going to wrap up this video. I hope you all have a fantastic BreyerFest week and weekend. Hopefully I will see some of you on the live streams I'm doing before BreyerFest. Thank you for watching, have an awesome day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye everyone!